I'll leave you to it. Thank you for talking to us and good luck for the rest of the day. Somcat, how are you? All good?
Yeah, everything was okay. Everything was good. It was very nice. Yeah, the weather was amazing.
How much do you enjoy racing in front of these Malaysian fans? Much like the Thai fans, and whenever we go in Asia, you get real love and support here, don't you?
Yeah, in India I was surprised because yesterday I was have a Honda event and was many Thai fans was come here alone and was very nice. They give me all the support and yeah, today I do my best.
Good luck for today, Somcat. Thank you for talking to us. Yeah, Somcat gets a lot of support in this part of the world, understandably so as well. We're just down at turn 1. The fans are starting to pack the grandstands down here. Yeah, no real relenting in the clouds, and the sunshine is really belting down here. You can see there in the grandstands everyone waving to the Malaysian fans, and we're going to talk to our new Rookie of the Year for 2025, Fermin Aldeguer. Missed out, of course, on that podium after that tyre pressure penalty plus 8 seconds, but he still finished inside the points, which just goes to show what pace he has. Fermin, congratulations again for the Rookie of the Year. After sleeping on it and this morning, you must be feeling super proud of your achievement this year.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a good weekend. Yesterday we completed our goal. Today we have another chance for fight for the podium. At the end is one real result, nothing. We will see how is the condition. If we are okay with the pressure of the tire, but yeah, yesterday was a problem, not from the team, not in our hands, but it's okay. We have to continue work, and our work was do well, and today we fight for more.
You look like really strong on pace. We saw that yesterday. You think like this is another real chance for victory today on Sunday?
It's one chance, but Peko also is very strong, have more experience than me. He track, he managed well also the tire. We will see. My goal is try to improve, try to enjoy, maybe overtake faster as possible the other riders and try to stay rear Peko and fight in the last part.
We look forward to it. I mean, congratulations again for Rookie of the Year and good luck for today as well. Yeah, top job this season from Fermin Aldeguer, of course. We're going to come round now, just squeeze in between Fermin to talk to our last Grand Prix winner, of course, Raul Fernandez. Raul, good to see you. How are you?
All good, thank you.
A bit warm this morning. I spoke to Paul already and he said these conditions are really sort of the hottest they've been all weekend.
Yeah, but also this morning we tried something on the bike that it felt to me to be even more comfortable on the bike. So yeah, of course, we come from the last week that we were super competitive, and now we had a lot of work to do. But anyway, I have a fantastic team that they always try to make its best, and for sure today we will make the maximum to try to take the maximum of the bike.
What did you find on the bike? Tell us the secrets. Go on.
We changed something on the setup, on the electronic, and at the end also I changed a little bit my riding style to try to understand if in some curves to try to find something, and maybe it helped during the race.
Top job, Raul, this morning, and hopefully we see you fighting inside around that top 5, maybe podium, who knows, later on today.
Too much optimistic maybe, but the real target is try to fight for the top 10, and like this we will end a really good Asia Tour, so I will be happy if we are in top 10.
Thanks, Raul, good luck for today. Thank you. Yeah, good to see Raul finding something in warm. It's been a more difficult start to the Prix this weekend. I think we expected that. Indonesia and Australia were tracks that really suited the RXTC. This track has been a little bit more difficult, but good to see the Aprilis on the up. So top to the back of the bus, Alex Marquez. Hard to overstate how much of an achievement yesterday is. I think now you've slept from it, woke up this morning, got warm up out of the way. How are you feeling after securing second in the championship? I've spoken to you a lot this year, and I know that's been a massive goal of yours.
Yeah, I feel much more free, much more relaxed. Today we have a race to celebrate that second. I think it's the best way to celebrate, and yeah, we will try our best on the warm up
with the changes and it felt much better. And now we need to see. I mean, here will be the key of the race, the first lap, how we will manage the tires. So we'll try to be really focused, really there, trying to not make mistakes, and then try to have a better life than the other one on the end.
How good are these fans as well? You guys get support everywhere we go, but particularly here in Malaysia and Asia, they love it here, don't they?
Yeah, it's nice. It's super nice to be here. More and more people will come at 3 o'clock in the evening, so it will be nice. It will be nice, and we'll try our best to have a great job for them.
Good luck today, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alex looking really strong, and of course, if you haven't seen it, then he did secure second place in the championship yesterday at Marquez 1-2. Just an unbelievable achievement for the Marquez family to have the brothers finish first and second in the World Championship. Of course, we are still missing Marc Marquez. He unfortunately isn't here this weekend. More goodies get sent into the crowd. Fabio Quartararo down there doing a very good job, almost a super job actually with the cannons. Johan, sorry to butt in. How are you feeling today? Made any steps in warm-up? Points in the sprint yesterday, which was good news, I guess.
Yeah, it was good to get some points yesterday. The confidence is back on the bike, and this is pretty important. One of what is interesting with the new tire, we know the race will be long and tough. We have a drop on the tire, a consumption on the rear tire that is massive. So I hope to have a great race, not suffer too much, and enjoy a good result.
Good luck today, Johan. Hope to see you in the points again.
Happy.
Yeah, good to see Johan in the points in the sprint. Yesterday, the Hondas have been working really well this weekend, haven't they? Sarko's had a little bit of a dip in form, but good to hear that he's feeling confident again on the bike. Of course, winner in Le Mans, a podium finisher at the British Grand Prix as well. We're going to squeeze in between the Australian and the South African. As always, Jack here in Malaysia, if that's all right, mate.
Yeah, right.
But I guess a more quiet weekend for you after your home Grand Prix last time out over in Australia, but still plenty of Aussie flags here in Malaysia.
Yeah, absolutely. It's being on this side of the world, it's a nice close one for them to get to. The ones that those of them that couldn't make it to the island, make it over here, and some of them even make it to both of them. So no, it's always awesome to race here. I love Malaysia. Temperature's perfect, so can't complain about anything. Just hopefully be able to sort the bike out a little bit more. Tried the medium this morning. Ain't the way to go. So back to the drawing board. We'll try and come up with a solution for a race.
What is the possible solution if the medium isn't working? Of course, tyre wear is crucial around here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't use the rear tyre at the best time, so we'll try and sort it out. Soft's going to be the one. You're just going to have to manage it. We'll see what we can do. Front end felt a bit better this morning. Yesterday we had, astronomical temperature in the front tyre, pressure. As always here, in the group it gets bloody hot, so we'll readjust and we make some small tweaks, so I think it should suit it. But yeah, the medium this morning didn't make a lot of fun.
Jack, go well today.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, hope to see Jack going well today. Of course, you can see by my hair, it's actually really windy for the top end of the circle. We're just coming down into the tricky turn 9. 2 KTM riders, as you can see here. We'll start with you, Brad. Brad, how are you feeling after warm-up?
A lot better than yesterday, so I hope that transfers to the race. And hopefully, we can have a bit of a comeback today.
What did you find in warm-up? In what places are you feeling a little bit better?
In warm-up, we clearly made a small step to make the front grab a little bit better, especially in these flowing long corners. So that's where I felt super sketchy yesterday. So I think a small step there can go a long way.
Have a good one, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to hear. Brad, and many riders actually finding some bits in warm-up. Not trying to hug you, Paul. In fact, Paul, we should be on the bus doing this, isn't he, Paul? Good to see you.
Your position a couple of times already.
And you're very good at it as well, I must say. Very good at riding a motorcycle as well, Paul. Just missed out on points yesterday. It's been a fantastic weekend. I'm sure you've got no hard feelings towards Luca, but I'm guessing you'll be hoping to be in and around that top 10, maybe higher again today.
Yeah, we were fighting with the boys. Things happen, and Marini, look, I think he was too clean. And actually, he gives some space to me. I didn't know he was there. And
ideal conditions also for the tires.
Paul, have a good one today, and hopefully you're inside the points again and battling away with the boys, as you say.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Riders actually hanging around in the air conditioner, and one, I don't blame them, but two, they're trying to argue it. So we'll try and get through them as quickly as possible, but we should be able to speak to the sprint winner yesterday. Luca, sorry to bust in, Luca. First crash yesterday, actually, to where we're going. Paul said you had been too clean. How did you view the crash and how are you feeling this morning?
Well, this morning we tried the different tires for the long race for understand a little bit all the options. The feeling is okay, I would say. Let's see the choice of everybody. I think for the front, maybe the medium could be a little bit better option, while for the rear, I think we struggle with both tires, everybody, and we need to manage a lot in this long race. Let's see, but I hope to start well. I think this will be the clear. If you are able to finish the first lap in the front, then the race is much easier.
Good luck today, Luke. Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately for Luke, it's just crashed over at turn 14 where we were. It's going to be a little bit rude again to try and bust in and speak to Tissot sprint winner of Phillip Island, of course, Marco Bezzecchi, and the Tissot sprint winner yesterday of Pecco. Pecco, if we just have a quick word, a brilliant day, a perfect day yesterday. Great to see you back on pole and on top in the sprint. Anything in warm-up you can tell us? Find any feelings, or pretty much the same?
This morning was quite good. We just tried another front car and just have a better idea of which one will be the choice. Let's see this afternoon because today is already hotter than yesterday, and will be important to make a good gesture of the rear tire.
Get a lot of love everywhere, but more so here in Malaysia, I think, than most places. How good is it to race in front of these fans?
Fantastic. I love them.
They love you too. Pecco, go well today.
Ciao.
Marco, sorry to squeeze in there. How are you feeling ahead of today? Marco, tough conditions, a lot of the riders are saying it, but high hopes for today?
Yeah, it's been a difficult weekend till now, but we have the possibility today to try to make a good performance, so let's try to make our best.
Good luck today, Marco.
Thank you.
Here is Yukon Spins, our brand new Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup champion, Ryota Ogiwara. Ryota, congratulations, good to meet you again. A good race today as well, second. How happy are you, how proud are you to win the Asia Talent Cup? And you're on the bus with MotoGP riders, so hopefully you'll hear a lot more in the future.
Yes, I'm super excited and to be here. No one. Excited.
Lots of words, just enjoy Ryota and enjoy the race day, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ryota Ogiwara, everyone, a name to remember coming from Japan, a really exciting talent in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. And if you turn the camera around there's all the other Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup riders just down there. Give us a wave, boys and girls. Another fantastic season in the Asia Talent Cup has been completed today, so top job from every single rider involved, and a dream come true for Ryota to be on the bus and waving to his rivals down there as well. We're going to move inside. A lot of the riders are continuing to hide, and actually I just want a bit of aircon as well, so here we go, into the bus we go. Who we already spoke to, most people in here. Juan, hiding from us, but understandably so in the aircon. How are you feeling? A crash yesterday, but you've had great pace all weekend.
Yes, well, I think today we have another opportunity to try to make a good race. I feel good with the bike. I think we have a pace to enjoy a bit, and we will try. We will try to do our maximum and then the weekend in the best way possible.
Good luck today, John.
Thank you so much.
Here we go then, walking down the bus. Hope you're on a good day, just chatting away. In fact, we'll quickly chat to Alex. Alex, how are you feeling ahead of today? Good to see you in the nice cool aircon of the bus.
Yes, I was half of the lap on the back, now with the AC.
No, it's quite warm. The condition is quite hard, especially when you are on the bike, and especially for us, for the Yamaha with the tire choice.
we tried the medium tire on the warm up and was impossible. So we will need to manage and we will need to play.
Thank you, Alex, and good luck for today.
Thank you.
Right, I'm going to squeeze back outside. Being told to head back outside. It's very tight and twisty inside the bus. In fact, we've got some shade out here nicely as well, too. So we've chatted to all the riders apart from Lorenzo Savadori out here. So let's go and pick on Lorenzo while we can. Lorenzo, how are you? Good to see you back on the bus. How are you feeling? How's the Aprilia feeling this weekend?
Yeah, we continue to develop the bike also this weekend. We did some experiment with the electronic strategy, so the bike increased and improved. So I'm happy to see that. Here today is a tough condition because it's super hot, but there will be a hard race for everybody.
I guess it's exciting coming to circuits that you know, like Sepang, but also racing in front of these amazing fans as well.
Yeah, when you race here is every time amazing because we have a really warm welcome. So thank you very much, Malaysia.
Lorenzo, have a good one today.
Thank you very much.
Just coming towards the end of the parade now. Just if you turn the camera around and see all the fans here in the grandstands, everyone giving the riders a wave, which is fantastic to see. Always passion sport here in Malaysia. Give you a chance to hear the fans in the background there. Who's shooting the cannon down there? It's Sabine Aldeguer and Alex Marquez. What flags coming in? The Marco, the second flag there, Japanese flag, lots of Ducati merchandise. There's a Luca Marini flag, Malaysia flag of course, got Hakim Denise of course, one of the home heroes in Moto3 coming up as well. Lots of 93 flags again. We continue to send our best wishes to Marc Marquez. We'll be seeing him back in 2026. Pecco Bagnaia, as I said, has so much support here in Malaysia. Yeah, there's a get well soon, Marc Marquez by Fabio Quartararo. Just great to see the amount of support for every single rider. And of course, the number 8 to 9, Jorge Martin, and of course, Maverick Vinales as well. Brazil, top there and flag there. Diogo Moreira getting some support as well. South Africa flag, everyone waving in the grandstands. Fermin Aldeguer flag, brilliant to see, really is. And as always, they pack the grandstands here at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. And we are expecting a fantastic Grand Prix Sunday here in Malaysia. And as all the riders said, really tough conditions out there today. It's going to be pretty punishing. It's going to make for great racing, of course, as it always does here. It's got a little bit of everything it has in the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. You can hear the bikes warming up. The Moto2 and Moto3 riders are going to be heading out pretty soon indeed. But this is where we're going to end things now. The hero walk, the fan zone is just behind the main grandstand as we head back down towards turn 1. The riders will get off the bus now, unfortunately for a lot of them, well all of them really, into the heat. Some of them have braved it, which is fair enough, but I can also understand why they sit and hide from us in the nice cool aircon. But I think we are going to leave it there. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed that. Great to hear from most of the riders. You can have the bike if you want. Brad just tried to steal the bike from me there. But yeah, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and have a great Grand Prix Sunday wherever you are watching from. Enjoy it. And yeah, see you on the other side. Go well, see you later.
For a season-ending Iberian Peninsula doubleheader in Sepang Malaysia, a hectic October ends with the Petronas Grand Prix Malaysia. It's the 25th MotoGP race at the stunning Sepang International Circuit, which followed Shah Alam and Johor as host tracks in this part of Southeast Asia. Who will win a clash of the titans near Kuala Lumpur? It's time to race in MotoGP. Good morning and a very warm welcome to Malaysia, and it's a very, very warm Sunday here in Sepang. It's a sizzler as we head into our 20th race day of 2025. 2 out of our 3 world titles, well, they've already been decided, haven't they, on our Asia Oceania Tour. Right at the start of it, a few weeks ago in Japan, Marc Marquez was crowned MotoGP World Champion for the 7th time. 9 world titles now for the absent Spaniard, of course, missing for the remainder of MotoGP in 2025 after the shoulder injury picked up in Mandalika. Jose Antonio Rueda has already been crowned Moto3 World Champion in the same Indonesian Grand Prix. 3 rounds remaining, 2 points though, splitting Manu Gonzalez and Diogo Moreira in what is turning out to be an epic, nail-biting and thrilling fight for Moto2. Going down, there's drama here. Big drama on the sighting lap. This is Rueda, the newly crowned world champion. What has happened here then on the sighting lap for this 15-lap Moto3 race? Noah Detweiler and Jose Antonio Rueda have collided on the sighting lap. Here was Rueda coming up. Oh! Awful crash. Oh.
Straight into the back of the Swiss rider who would have had no idea what was coming. Rueda, I think, just not paying attention, unfortunately, to what's going up ahead of him. Realises at the last moment, straight into the back of Noah Detweiler. That was a horrible crash to watch, and wouldn't be at all surprised if we have a delay to the start due to that. What is for sure is Jose Antonio Rueda will not be starting it.
Yeah, that was a sickening way to get this Sepang Grand Prix underway. Yeah, we might be looking at a session delayed here, our race start delayed. So it was Noah Detweiler as the field moved up to turn 4 after the high-speed turn 3. And Jose Antonio Rueda, we can clearly see from those images, just unfortunately ploughing into the back of Detweiler. Of course, first and foremost, we are hoping that both Noah Detweiler and the new world champion, Jose Antonio Rueda, are okay after that real nasty looking collision. Antonio Rueda had qualified on the front right of the grid. Where Noah Detweiler and Jose Antonio Rueda will be undergoing ongoing treatment. And an instant then on the exciting lap here, that's brought out the red flags before it lights out for what was scheduled. The 15-lap Moto3 race here in Sepang.
Double long lap penalty is completely immaterial now. That is Alvaro Carpe, Jose Antonio Rueda's teammate. Who is due to start from the second row of the grid. That's that crash also needs a very close look at.
Okay, so on pole position for this. And Indonesia on the front row with Almanso. Was going to be Rueda in third place. Taya Furusato was on the middle.
Standing at what the procedure is whether they leave the grid because the cycle Lappers got underway. The pit lane exit is now closed, but what would assume was they need to do a quick restart procedure once this race is deemed safe enough to get underway, because there were riders who were in the pit lane, naturally coming through the pit lane, as you have the option to do on the sighting lap. You have 5 minutes from the pit lane opening to pit lane closing, and you're free to go through as many times as you want, as long as you're back out on the racetrack by the time the pit lane is closed. So, well, some riders still in the pit lane, some sat on the grid, and one assumes they will all be pushed off the grid before we get a restart to this Grand Prix.
Understandably so, a lot of concern down in the Red Bull Caden Bio garage. Pedro Acosta, you can see there, a Moto3 and a Moto2 world champion for the Finnish-based team. He's down outside the garage with Alvaro Carpe, who was going to be starting this Grand Prix in 5th place on the grid. There's Nicky Ayo, Ayo team boss, running up back up pit lane. Jack, down to you for an update.
Yeah, all bikes will be coming off the grid in just a second. They were just waiting for all of the riders to make their way round on the cycling lap and to form the grid before they then asked them to leave and make their way towards pit lane. So that should be happening in a second.
Yeah, thanks very much for that update, Jack. So there is the 73 bike of Valentin Perone. He was actually bumped onto the second row of the grid. Up to 6th place was Perone after a penalty came the way of Brian Uriarte, of course. Uriarte stepping in for the injured David Munoz. He had actually set the 5th best time in Q2 yesterday afternoon, but he was handed a 9-place grid penalty for slow riding online in that same Q2 session, which put Uriarte then back in the middle of the 5th row now in 14th place, behind a very impressive Davidson, thrilling a home crowd, Hakim Denise Lewis.
Alright, here we are going to see that superb news. Very relieved to read that both Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Detweiler are conscious at the scene. Both are undergoing treatment at the moment. For any further information that we receive, if we hear official information, we'll relay that on to you. But the relief is that Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Detweiler may sickening looking crash are at least conscious. Any further news will bring it to you. National telephone, KTM being removed from the grid. Then Danish, he's making his Grand Prix debut this weekend. It will be a full-time Moto3 rider in 2026. He has signed for the empty helmet MSI squad. MSI have
put an awful lot into Andy Denny's career in recent years. They backed him over the last 2 or 3 years, third in the Red Bull Rookies Cup this season, making his debut this weekend, and he will be a full-time regular next year.
Yeah, the grid is now clearing. I'm just looking at our commentary box window, and the grid is now being fully cleared. We just saw there from pole position David Almanza walking off the grid with his Leopard Honda. All bikes are being taken off the grid. This is a tough time, isn't it? Alvaro Carpe, teammate to Jose Antonio Rueda. Carpe back on the podium last time out. Of course, Philip Pilot, it was his first top 3 finish in 10 Grand Prix since Mugello. First time he's actually finished higher than 9th in the last 8 Grand Prix. So as treatment is ongoing for Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Detweiler. They are both conscious, but you can see from those live pictures the rest of the field are now clearing the grid. As soon as we have any kind of information on when today's Malaysian Grand Prix action might be underway, of course you'll be the first to know.
Fine, doesn't it? The risks involved at any stage when you're on board these motorcycles. These are the finest motorcycle racers in the world, but they are the bravest too. Anytime you go out onto a racetrack, even just forming up on the grid, you're always taking a risk. Unfortunately for both Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Detweiler for sure. You can certainly say he did absolutely nothing wrong there on the sighting line. You wouldn't expect him to be going at racing speed, and we only saw one sight of it. I think once was, quite frankly, enough, but it certainly looked as if Rueda just hadn't quite concentrated on what was going on the road, was going quicker than the riders ahead of him, and obviously realised at the last possible second, unfortunately though, that was too late to avoid the Swiss rider.
To avoid that contact. There is Nicky Ayo on the left hand side of your picture, team boss to the Red Bull KTM Ayo squad. What a job he's done since he was handed the reins by his father, Aki Ayo.
What I also expect to happen here is a shortening of the race distance. The Malaysian Grand Prix was due to take place over 15 laps. Of course, we're due to get underway in 5 minutes time. What is normally the standard procedure here is for a third of the distance to be taken off. So we'll of course have further information, official information soon. But I would suspect that that 15 lap distance will be short now.
That looked like it was Eddie O'Shea just going to the Red Bull KTM garage to check on the welfare of Jose Antonio Rueda. Unfortunately, obviously a lot of riders would have been directly behind Rueda and Detweiler on that sighting lap and seen all of the drama unfold ahead of them. There is the grid then clearing. That's called Wazri, part of Honda Team Asia. Tyre for Asartan, as mentioned, for the first time in a year on the front row of the grid in Moto3. Honda continuing their domination of Sepang Qualifying in the lightweight world champion category. David Almanza's pole yesterday, courtesy of a 2:09.846. So Honda top 2 in qualifying. Almanza and Asartan only 2 to find sub 2:10 laps yesterday. Honda now taking the last 7 pole positions here in Malaysia, although there's been no win from pole position. David Almanza went back for saying this since Jorge Martin back in 2018, the day that the Martinator was crowned Moto3 World Champ.
Curiously, the last 5 have been taken by Leopard Honda. Marcos Ramirez, Dennis Foggia, Jaume Matthew on his way to the World Championship, Adrian Fernandez last year, now David Almanza. Second pole of the season for him. Honda is made up pit lane. What's interesting if you look at the pit lane is that not every Moto3 team has access. You can see now here, has access to a pit box. Many of them operate out of the back of the pit lane in the paddock and then of course wheel their bikes into pit lane when they take part in practice or in qualifying. So there are quite a few Moto3 teams, perhaps those that are less fortunate and less well funded and less successful in this Moto3 class, who are desperately searching for some shade in pit lane.
Anxious, understandably anxious faces inside Red Bull KTM Ayo. We just caught a quick glimpse there of Max Quiles. Of course, it's been long decided that Rueda was our 2025 Moto3 World Champion. There's still plenty at stake though in terms of second and third in the overall rankings. It's in the advantage of Angel Piqueras. 231 points Piqueras has gathered after the opening 19 Grand Prix. That though is only 3 clear now of Quiles, and let's not forget Quiles has been missing for 4 rounds in 2025. He wasn't old enough to participate in the first 2 Grand Prix of the campaign, then some of the thumb injury which ruled him out of Qatar and Perez. But Quiles has qualified once again inside the top 10, has not yet started outside the top 10 on the grid in what has already been an incredible 15-round World Championship campaign. Up to 16 now, of course, this weekend.
I believe this weekend weekend though for Keelan. He was only in qualifying 2 automatically because of the declaring unfit to Jacob Ralston earlier on in the weekend. Ralston had a crash on Friday afternoon in practice after he'd already set a lap time good enough to put him into qualifying 2. Of course, once he was removed from the action this weekend, that bumped Keelan up to 14th and a place in qualifying 2, which he then translated into a place on the 3rd row. Of course, we are still missing David Munoz and will be for the rest of the season after his front particular sustained on the final lap of it turned out in Indonesia a couple of Grand Prix ago, and as Matt mentioned, Brian Uriarte, the Red Bull Rookie champion, doing a very good job as a deputy.
See there the pole sitter Al Mansa getting some shade in the track house of Aprilia MotoGP garage. He's got friends in high place, doesn't he, Al Mansa? As the 2 River Court Snipers Honda riders, Nicola Carrara on the left hand side of your picture there, Ricardo Rossi with a very familiar face in the middle of your picture as well though, our own Jack Appleyard, just hovering around looking to maybe get some free Moto3 reaction. So we still have no indication as yet. Of course, today's race programme wants you to get underway and around midday local time. Eddie O'Shea gets on the cool towel, keep yourself cool when you're in full racing leathers. A pretty tough challenge down in this Sepang pit lane because it is absolutely roasting. It's scorching 33 degrees. That is the ambient temperature. By far the hottest conditions we've had of the weekend so far. This has been the sunniest day we've had in Sepang since we first arrived here, hopping off the plane from Melbourne on Monday and Tuesday. There's lots of heavy cloud cover around Sepang, which has kept it relatively cool, given the tropical climate we're in. So Almansa Furusato Rueda was going to be your front row of the grid. Pini on the Dynavolt in-stacked KTM machine was heading row 2 in 4th place with Alvaro Carpe and Valentin Perrone. It was Quiles that led row 3 ahead of Angel Piqueras. That's a pretty intriguing battle, isn't it, side by side on the grid on that 3rd row, fighting for that 2nd place in the World Championship.
So there will be an empty space left on the front row. I don't believe they'll bump every rider up forwards on the grid to make up the space, which will now surely be vacated by Jose Antonio Rueda. So Pini will still start on the 2nd row, but there will be just 2 riders on the front row, including the pole sitter David Almansa. Let's get a word from the Leopard camp, Rackatours, Jack.
Yeah, obviously both of us down here send our best to both Noah and Jose Antonio, but we will have to focus on the upcoming Malaysian Grand Prix. 10 laps it looks like is going to be held over. Has been a positive weekend for both of your guys so far, Mia Drag. Adrian has looked strong, David has looked strong, and these conditions normally can suit the Honda as well.
Yeah, I mean, David did a good lap, for the pole position. Unfortunately, with Adrian, we messed up a little bit because he was able to qualify at least in the top 5. Now the race is reduced to 10 laps, so starting 11th, it will be maybe difficult for him to close the gap, but we will see. I mean, the bike is very quick and he feels good, so let's see, let's race. And today it's very hot also, so maybe it's a good thing also that we will do only 10 laps.
David obviously searching for that first Grand Prix podium. How important in this 10 lap event is it that he stays calm and doesn't think too much about that potential achievement?
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, we all start, we want to stay calm and not put the pressure on the riders. And for David, he will be looking for a first podium, and for Adrian obviously is looking for a first win, and also for us first win during this season, because it never happened that we never won one race during one season. So let's see, there is still 3 races to go, and we'll see.
Thanks, Mia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Leopard on the boss speed with Rackatours. Did manage to confirm the shortened race distance, which will be over 10 laps. When that 10 lap battle here in Malaysia will commence, we're still not quite sure as yet of the treatment on. It's certainly ongoing, as we saw from the helicopter shot for Noah Detwheeler, the CIC Green Power rider. Of course, David Almansa led a Grand Prix for the first time here in Malaysia last year. He was leading for the first 3 laps of the 2024 edition of the Malaysian Grand Prix. actually finished 11th over 10 seconds off the victory on that day. I recall that Honda were experimenting with a new engine. They had, fair to say, a lot of reliability issues which ruled out some of their big hitters.
So tentangrace pulling out of the Grand Prix, Adrian Fernandez had an engine failure, Scott Austin had some problems caused back when he was on a way apart Honda. Of course, quite understandably, they're not going to rush the treatment, whatever treatment is required for Noah Denvila and Jose Antonio Rueda, of course, just joining us. The collision between the two on the side from that. Both riders have been reported conscious, that is all we can tell you at this stage, but at least some early positive signs. But they will not take any risk, they will make sure that he is receiving the best possible care. Potentially a trip to the medical centre, not a trip to hospital later on for further treatment. Denvila, who is racing for his Grand Prix future, not confirmed yet for a place on the Moto3 grid for next season, although there have been some reports of rumours that potentially he might find a home next season at the TI-78 Motor squad for next season. Jose Antonio Rueda, of course, Moto2 band for next season with the Red Bull KTM IO team.
Further down the grid, Joel Kelso, so close to a memorable victory in front of his home crowd in Phillip Island 7 days ago in what were considerably cooler conditions, weren't they? Down under, Kelso heading row 4 in 10th place. Actually the first time in the last 6 Grand Prix that Kelso hasn't qualified on the front row of the grid. First time he's not seen Joel on the front row in Catalonia. On that 4th row is with him Andrew Fernandez and Ryusai Yamanaka. Fernandez slowest qualifying in 10 rounds since Assen. He comes into this Malaysian Grand Prix though. Banging form, doesn't he? 21-year-old, top 6 in 6 of the last 7. Qualifying that, he was the 15th point scoring finish of Andrew Fernandez's career.
Purple Patch Fernandez secured him a place on the Moto3 grid for next season. Within the layer party, there were reports earlier on in the season that he might potentially be out of that team, or that he might be moving from the M-Lab squad for next season. That didn't transpire. Fernandez, of course, with his podium finish in Misano, his pole position in Indonesia, the layer party to give him another season alongside Guido Pini for next season. Referencing M-Lab, they did have good news themselves to share with us yesterday. Having already confirmed Joel Kelso earlier in the season, they confirmed yesterday evening that Eddie O'Shea will be staying with that team for 2026.
Completing row 4, inside Yamanaka. Disappointing Australian Grand Prix for the 23-year-old from Japan. 22nd, ended a run of 12 successive points finishes before Yamanaka. First time he's missed the points since the Austin Grand Prix in Texas. Top 10s in all 3 previous starts here though. In Sepang with the best of 7 here last year. Jack, back down to you for some further news.
Yeah, I'm just outside the Red Bull KTM IO box. You might have seen when Alvaro Carpe came back initially, there was a little bit of work that was needed on the number 83 machine. The KTM IO boys have done a terrific job. Get that 83 bike ready to go. Tyre warmers are on. That looks as though it is ready to go. So great to see that Alvaro will be able to take part in the 3 starts.
Thanks very much, Jack. Still no official confirmation then as to when we will be underway after the incident on the exciting lap involving our new world champion Jose Antonio Rueda with a 2:10.076 in qualifying yesterday. Put himself on the front row of the grid for the 11th time this year. Fantastic end of season. Purple patch, what a rich vein of form Rueda was in, coming to Sepang even first or second in the last 5 Grand Prix. Really was a big platform that he used to secure the World Championship. Over 140 points clear of anybody else in the field this year. Just shows how much of a class apart Rueda has been operating. Well, since round 1 really, wasn't it, when he was on the front row of the grid in Burram and then completed a dominant victory in that season-opening Grand Prix. Wins followed in Texas, in Jerez, Le Mans, Silverstone at the back of the grid, Aston, Brno, and his winning touch returned in Misano. And most recently back-to-back races in Mandalika and in Phillip Island.
He's winning Grand Prix in every different way, hasn't he? This season he certainly pushed very hard in Australia a week ago by Joel Kelso. Kelso is due to start from the 4th row. He's talking now to Jack.
Yeah, it's great of Joel to join us, obviously off the back of a great weekend last time out on home soil. Joel, I'm sure you enjoyed that podium. Coming here, very different conditions. How have you found it so far?
Yeah, we struggled a bit so far this weekend. We got overall not bad pace, just that 1 lap speed. But hey, anyways, now it's race time, so let's say we're going to give it 110%. Now they've reduced the laps to 10, which is going to be difficult because I don't have a softer compound tire to run. And some of the boys were going to run the softer compound for the whole race anyways. Probably by the last 3-4 laps, I think I would have had a little bit extra. But hey, now we only got 10 laps, so we're just going to deal with what we got and try our best at it.
Running the harder compound rear tyre, from what you've seen during the weekend, how much of a pace disadvantage could that be?
A couple tenths in the first 5-6 laps, and then maybe lap 7 starts to become more even, and then lap 10, 11 you could probably have a little bit extra on the other boys, but hey, we only got 10 down, so yeah, we'll see how we get on, but we're going to give it our best anyways. Either way, I think we can stay there depending how strong the pace will be at the front, but we're confident.
Yeah, Joel, have a good one.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, he certainly sounds confident, doesn't he? The 22-year-old from Darwin. He's not lacking support, just like in Mandalika a few weeks ago. So many Australian fans have made the journey to Southeast Asia. I think I've seen as many Australian fans here as Malaysian fans throughout the course of this weekend. Great ride, wasn't it? Last time out in front of his home crowd in Australia. For the pilot, it was a much needed top 3. The first podium in 12 Grand Prix since Le Mans for Kelso. He has led the last 5 rounds. And only world champion Rueda and rookie sensation Max Keeler have been at the front more laps than Kelso in 2025.
Absolutely no shame in being beaten by Jose Antonio Rueda, the 4th is in. Kelso certainly kept Rueda honest through the entire race distance. It was mainly the main straight, in fairness, where Kelso was able to pull Rueda back in. He was able to pull out for the half second through the faster corners in the infield section of the Phillip Island circuit. He's proven, hasn't he, Rueda, that he's a wonderful front runner. He gets to the front, take the pace and break the opposition. He also comes from deep in the pack, which he demonstrated in Silverstone and was likely to demonstrate today, given his double long lap penalty. He's also shown that he can fight for it on final laps. Get the final corner pass on Max Keeler at Misano, took advantage of some last corner shenanigans at Le Mans as well. Rueda has won in every different way, shape or form in 2025, and it's a shame that we may not see him now add to those 10 victories in 2025. He had the possibility to go second all time for most victories in a lightweight class season. Esteban Alonso 40 plus Rueda still had the chance to make it as far as 30 this year.
One record he was certainly going to break. You feel in the last 3 Grand Prix was the most laps led in a single season in Moto3. He's led 148 laps over the line this year, has Rueda the record set by Ethan Guevara, a fellow Spaniard. 163 laps led back in 2022. Felt that would have been easy picking as far as Rueda is concerned, having led so many Grand Prix this year. 365 points collected from the opening 9 Grand Prix. The only blemish really on his copybook was a DNF in Qatar, and that was his own fault when he had the KTM go put underneath him when he was in the victory battle at Lucasale International Circuit. Only Aragon, Mugello, Red Bull Ring and the Balaton Park Circuit, where when he saw the checker flag he wasn't on the podium. Jose Antonio Rueda. So it's gone rather quiet, hasn't it, in pit lane, as the Moto3 teams and riders are seeking some shelter from the scorching hot conditions. 33 degrees was the ambient temperature about half an hour ago as we came on air to start our broadcast of this Malaysian Grand Prix. It's just going to be creeping up, isn't it, throughout the course of the afternoon, around 3 PM local time, when we're scheduled to be racing in MotoGP over 20 laps. Well, that will be the hottest part of the day. You're going to be thinking we're going to be maybe in the mid-30s in terms of the ambient temperature at that point. What impact is that going to have on the tyre choice, particularly the rear tyre choice? Soft or medium? Well, we'll find out, won't we, in just under 3 hours' time, when the Premier Class riders battle here in Malaysia as Pecco Bagnaia looks to double up with a dominant double victory.
Well, Kelso illustrated to Jack there. It's going to impact on not only the tyre choice but the approach to this Moto3 race now, with the distance cut by a third from 15 laps down to 10. It will surely push most riders, not all, to the softest available Pirelli tyre options. No real thoughts of tyre management really in this race now, with the 10 lap distance. So it will be much like the 10 laps yesterday in MotoGP. It will be a sprint in this Moto3 battle, this 20th round of the season. 3 Grand Prix to go. Still plenty to be decided. We might already have our riders champion We already have our team's champions, Red Bull, KTM, IO. They clinched that title last time out. Constructor title for KTM, but still plenty elsewhere in the championship to fight for. Looking to go from his best try qualifying in Moto3. Sixth row of the grid, 16th is Eddie O'Shea. He's now talking to Joe.
Yeah, been a great weekend so far for Eddie. Obviously, we woke up this morning to the news that he's going to be sticking around next year. I'm sure you're delighted to have that new contract in the pocket and another going in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely over the moon. Obviously, I'd like to thank Michael and David and everyone from the part of the team for giving me this opportunity to go again next year. I think we can make good things. Obviously, we've been taking big steps since the changes in the team, and yeah, I feel like we can jump leaps and bounds next year.
This weekend has been a solid one so far as well. You've really seemed to find some rhythm and some form. What is it about this Sepang circuit that you've gelled with so far?
No, honestly, I think we've just been making big steps every weekend. I don't think it's the circuit in particular. We've just been getting more comfortable with the bike, with the team, with everything. We've been gelling well. Me and Marco have been working well, and I think every weekend we've been getting faster and faster, and I think this weekend just shows that. Obviously, straight through to Q2, which was a massive plus, and yeah, now I'm just hoping that both Noah and Moreno are okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We echo those sentiments as well. Looking at next year, you're going to have a fast, competitive teammate. I'm sure you're excited to try and learn off Joel and all of his experience in the class.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be good to have such a fast teammate next year. He's definitely one of the fastest here. So yeah, it'd be good to have him on the other side of the box and read his data.
Thanks for chatting, Eddie. Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Yeah, great news to hear that Eddie O'Shea is going to be back on the grid. First 16-1. Detweiler, of course, first and foremost, we are hoping that both the Noah Detweiler and the new world champion, the Antonio Rueda, are okay after that real nasty looking collision. Jose Antonio Rueda had qualified for the front right of the grid in third place. He's had a dramatic weekend so far, hasn't replicated my ride. He was having scheduled to start this Grand Prix, facing a double long lap penalty for an incident, an unsafe manoeuvre with Max Keeler. Yeah, red flag. We're going to get a start delay here shortly as the marshals and the medics come to the scene where Noah Detweiler and Jose Antonio Rueda will be undergoing ongoing treatment. An incident then on the sighting lap here has brought out the red flags before it's lights out for what was scheduled to be a 15-lap Moto3 race here in Sepang.
Yeah, the double long lap penalty is completely immaterial now. That is old Mauro Carpe, Jose Antonio Rueda's teammate, who is in start of the second row of the grid. That's Jadwal by the looks of it in the background of the Prix. We saw Rueda off to the right as we look after the crashes initially took place. So the first priority, well, there'll be two priorities here. The first of them is to make sure that both riders are being given the best possible treatment and that they are hopefully okay. Of course, there's also a lot of debris and potentially fluid that have also been spilled on the racetrack as a result of that crash, which will also need a very close look at.
Okay, so on pole position for this Malaysian Grand Prix round 20 of 2025 was Leopard Honda's David Almansa, second pole position of the season for the 19-year-old Spaniard. Is a fourth front row start so far this year as well. But it pilot at ninth last weekend with his third point position.
Yeah, I think this is underway because we've got some
to three and now to you for an update. Brian Urin, which
is at any further news we'll bring it to you. That's still telephone towards MS.
Fully cleared. Matt and Noah Detweiler.
Hadn't quite concentrated on what was going on the road, was going to get an
okay. Have it up. Delayed,
lane. Is there not up?
Quick glimpse there of Max Quiles. Of course, it's
Quiles, he was only in qualifying 2. Quiles up to 14th in the place, but
second place in the world.
Yeah,
They had a
championship to lose. The way that he started the season, but really the mechanical dramas that halted his charge. Podium finishes in 7 of the first 6+7 Grand Prix up to his victory at Silverstone. And ultimately, Angel Piqueras never really strung enough momentum to launch a serious title chase of Rueda. There was that little spurt post-summer break when Piqueras was able to outscore Rueda in Austria when he took victory, in Hungary where he was a place ahead of Rueda, and of course victory in Catalonia, Rueda second. But that was a rather fleeting charge from Piqueras. And as soon as Rueda took victory, such dramatic fashion on the final lap at Misano with Piqueras down in 5th place, the identity, the outcome of the world champion this year didn't look in any great doubt at all. It came from there as when rather than if Rueda would wrap up the title.
Piqueras clinging on to second place in the standings, 3 points clear with 3 rounds remaining ahead of Quiles, the hard-charging young Aspire rider, looking ahead into the 2026 Moto3 World Championship with Rueda and Piqueras graduating up to Moto2. Well, you don't need to be Albert Einstein, you don't need to be a rocket scientist, do you, to work out that Quiles clearly will be the man, the rider to beat in 2026. What a year it has been, what an introduction to the Moto3 World Championship. Well, he's due to go from 9th place on the grid, back of row 3 in 3rd place. Top 10 so far in all 3 of our previous flyaway races. Let's get the thoughts of Italian 658 Sport of course from Luca Letta. Good, Jack?
Yeah, it's been a great return to action from Luca. Obviously, a big injury halfway through the season, but as guys were just saying, on this flyweight tour so far, top 10 in all of them, the podium in Mandalika as well. I'm sure you've enjoyed getting back at the front and fighting again, Luca.
yes. First of all, I wanna say I hope everything is fine for the incident during the cycling lap. For today, I hope to do a good start and to be with the front guys. We start in the 3rd row, so it's good for the race. I'm ready to fight. The last races have been quite good, but today is another day and we need to push like starting from 0. And the race will be shorter, so it will be quite fast and I'm ready for it.
Are you thinking of going with the soft rear or the slightly harder rear?
I'm going with the soft rear, both front and rear, yes. I think it's a good choice.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, as always, to 19-year-old Roman. Luca Letta. Yes, soft is Lenetta's pick from the Pirelli tyres available ahead of what's going to be a 10-lap sprint here in Moto3. Was 10th over the line here last year, an eventful Sepang Grand Prix for Letta last year. He got up to as high as 6th, he was down to as low as 16th at one stage. Took the checkered flag somewhere in the middle in that 10th place. Of course, he's had to deal with some serious injuries himself, hasn't he, this season? A horrendous timber chicane, late incident in the Dutch TT in Assen. Saw him then miss the Saxon Ring, but no, Red Bull Ring and Balaton Park. Some response as he works his way back to full fitness. Top 10 in the last 3, as mentioned, including a 2nd place in Mandalika and a front row in Phillip Island. So working his way back to 100% fitness, we are starting to see Lenetta's full potential unleashed. And we talked about Rueda and Piqueras as graduates to Moto2 next year. Well, Letta also in that club.
Moving to the Speed RS team in Moto2, Boscoscuro back squad alongside Celestino Vietti next season. So a real 5-1 season that Letta has landed in for next season. An Italian-run team looking to back perhaps the leading Italian talent up from Moto3. Guido Pini, another one who's potentially going to star in the future for Italy. Good season for Pini, we've already seen him on the podium this season. He's staying in this Moto3 class. Of course, you're looking at title contenders next season, as mentioned a moment ago. The rookie crop from this season certainly will all be expected to be involved in that battle for the championship against the likes of David Munoz, of course, the very experienced Spaniard who we hope to see back at full fitness next season. But we really have been spoiled by our rookies in Moto3 this season. Keelan so impressive, Alvaro Carpe so impressive too, Valentin Peroni come very close to Grand Prix victory, Guido Pini on a podium finish as well. All of those will expect to be regular race-winning contenders, if not title chasers, in 2026.
It's been a long time since we've seen an Italian on the top step of the podium in Moto3. Dennis Foggia did it all the way back in Buriram in 2022. It's been an awful long wait. They've been stuck on 49 Moto3 wins as Italy as a nation for quite some time, or 3 years, haven't they now, to be precise. Pini certainly looks like one of their best hopes of making it 50. Just a reminder, if you are just tuning in for the first time on our race day coverage here in Malaysia, there was a serious collision on the exciting lap involving newly crowned world champion, Rebel KTM rider Jose Antonio Rueda and CIP Green Power KTM rider Noah Detweiler. They just come out of turn 3, the right-hander starting to climb up to turn 4. Rueda unfortunately ran into the back of Detweiler. They both have been reported conscious. We are going to get a shortened 10th lap Moto3 battle here in Malaysia.
The race was due to have started around 25 minutes ago here in Malaysia, and this is going to have a series of knock-on effects for the schedule. Potentially could also see a shortening of the Moto2 race still to come, which was due to get underway itself in 50 minutes time. Moto2 due to get underway at 1:15, we're just coming into 25 past 12 here in Sepang. 3 p.m. is the current scheduled start time of the 20-lap MotoGP Grand Prix of Malaysia. Still to come, as mentioned, still no news on a start time. As soon as we have that, we will bring that to you, but quite understandably, they will take whatever time is necessary to give the best possible treatment to the injured riders.
To follow this shorter Moto3 race will be the latest instalment, the latest chapter in what is turning out to be a fascinating battle in Moto2 between Manu Gonzalez, the long-term Moto2 World Championship leader, and Diogo Moreira, who is banging for the Brazilian, isn't he? 2 points splitting those two. And it's already been quite spicy, a bit tasty already between the two title rivals. If you joined us yesterday, both Lewis and Neil Morrison behind the mic for that rather dramatic Moto2 Q2 session, where it was pretty clear the pressure and the tension is building in that rather intense battle between Moreira and Gonzalez. They are due to be racing over 17 laps at some point later on this afternoon.
Well and true off between those two, make no mistake about that. 2 points in it between the big two, still 5 riders in Moto2, mathematically in title contention, which could change at the end of today, although given where the top 2 in the championship was qualified, who knows at this stage in Moto2. The Moto3 championship was already wrapped up in Indonesia. Marc Marquez punching the MotoGP crown back in Japan, and Moto2 is giving us all the ingredients and all the indication that it will be settled on the very last lap of the last race in Valencia in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, that one is coming for very, very nice, isn't it? Back in Moto3. Just what we heard from Eddie O'Shea, we're leading row 6 on the grid. On that row 6 with the Brits is South African Ruche Moodley. 18-year-old running for the Bowen Motorsports team. 13 he was in Mandalika a few weeks ago. One of only 8 points finishes so far this season for Moodley. Matteo Bertelli is at the back of that 6th row. Another rider who's working their way back to full fitness. Of course, Bertelli had a real stellar start to 2025, didn't he? Pole positions in the opening 2 Grand Prix over in Thailand and then down in South America in Argentina. Followed that up then with his breakthrough first podium in Austin, Texas, and at that stage of the campaign I think we were all looking at Bertelli as a potential surprise candidate, a dark horse to compete for the World Championship. But then a real horrendous training accident immediately after Austin saw him sidelined until the start of this flyaway sequence over in Japan. It's been a promising return though, and worked his way back to his physical best for Bertelli. He has scored points in Japan, 12. getting better and better by the week as well. 11th in Mandalika and 10th in Phillip Island. So I guess if that trend continues, we're going to see Fratelli come through from 18th to 9th in this Grand Prix. He'll certainly be looking for better, but it is just good to see Matteo Fratelli back in action and working his way back to the top rider we know he was at the start of the year.
He'll be thinking big for 2026 when he's staying with the Level Up MTA squad. As always, there's quite a bit of toing and throwing in the rider market in Moto3. Fratelli will be partnered by the rider who spent most of the time replacing him in that MTA squad during his injury layoff. That was Marcos Uriarte, joining his fellow namesake Brian Uriarte, of course, in Moto3 for next season. Not that the two are related though, so we'll be seeing the pair of those on track next season. Once again, another exciting wave of young talent coming into Moto3 for next season. Already had the confirmation this weekend of Hakim Danish, third in this season's Red Bull Rookies Cup and very much a home favourite here in Malaysia. It will be a full-time participant in Moto3 for next season. Uriarte, who's landing himself the Prix seat at Red Bull KTM IO, replacing the outgoing champion Jose Antonio Rueda. Rico Salmello, another very impressive young talent. Liam Finn is coming to Moto3 next season as well. So as always, it's always a state of evolution in Moto3. You always welcome some exciting new talent, and as quickly as they arrive, there is another wave, another exciting crop ready to follow them a season later. And that is why we love Moto3.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk, a lot of speculation around about Moto3 becoming a Yamaha one-make series from the 2028 World Championship campaign onwards. Some news reports in Malaysia here this weekend. From that 2028 season onwards, there'll be the introduction of new 700cc capacity engines. Of course, Dorna for quite some time now has been looking at ways to maybe deliver a shake-up to the Moto3 World Championship, which has run in its current format for 13 years. Of course, it all started back in 2012 when Sandro Cortese was the first Moto3 World Champion. Sandro is still very much part of the MotoGP himself with the Service TV broadcasters. Moto3 at the moment single-cylinder engines that are supplied exclusively by both KTM and Honda. It's all pointing towards a very significant technical change and a new format, a single bike supply at Yamaha with 700cc motorcycles from 2028 onwards. That's been the hot news here at a very hot Sepang. We'll go back down to pit lane then and get some more Moto3 thoughts. Riders going to start 6th place on the grid. Valentin Perrone joins Jack.
Yeah, Valentin with the right idea, with the fan on him, the ice pack on the top of the head as well. It's important to keep cool, Valentin.
Yeah, it will be super important to be in front. In our lap, probably it's gonna be a crazy race, but let's see. Finally, I come back again after the big crash I had in Indonesia. Now I'm feeling quite good, so let's enjoy the race and keep learning.
And this is a place you know really well. You've done a lot of training here during the winter, a lot of laps, so a place that you know quite well.
Yeah, I know it a lot. I know all around here. I've been here. Maybe if I put all the months I've been here, maybe like 1 year, training with rider formation and take it racing. I made many laps here, also close to here in the go-kart. With this amazing weather in the winter, it's crazy to train here, but it's super nice, and also this helped me a lot to be here now with this strong and feeling like this.
Thanks, Valentin. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Valentin Perrone. As you saw on your screens there has been a further update on Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Vila, the two riders involved in that cycling lap collision coming out of turn 3. Both of them have left the Sepang International Circuit. They have been air ambulanced away from this Sepang circuit and taken for additional assessment and additional treatment at nearby hospitals. That is the bang up to date latest information. We bring it into you as soon as we get it. As you can see now, the safety car is out on this 5.54 kilometre Sepang circuit. So So we might be hopefully soon getting some news of a possible start to proceedings here in Sepang. Of course, while those helicopters do leave the scene, we send all of our thoughts and our prayers to both Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Jadwal after that shocking collision on that sighting lap. 10 laps we know will be the new race distance in this Petronas Grand Prix in Malaysia in 2025, and trust that as soon as we have any additional information on when that will be underway, we will let you know.
Yeah, the safety car doing a lap just to understand if any further clean-up operation is required on the racetrack. Of course, quite a lot of debris was also dropped on the racetrack at turn 3, so the marshals obviously having a good look to make sure that there is nothing on the racetrack that could lead to any kind of crashes or any kind of punctures when the riders are back on the racetrack once again. And that is customary in a situation such as this, where we have either an interrupted race due to a red flag or a delayed start in this case, and we will enter into the quick restart procedure. Once we do get an official start time, notice will be provided of a start time, and once that point arrives, the riders will have a minute, 60 seconds to get out of pit lane, to come round to the grid, where one of their mechanics will be waiting for them to essentially tell the rider where to park, and also make sure that everything is okay with both rider and motorcycle before the warm-up lap will then begin ahead of a 10-lap Malaysian Grand Prix in Moto3.
So the BMW safety car then has come back into the pit lane. So we might be expecting some additional information on a potential start to proceedings here in Malaysia. Of course, and our thanks as well to the marshals and to the medical staff here in Sepang. We're immediately on the scene to treat both Jadwal and Rueda. That was one of our specialist medical teams just saw they're getting out of the BMW safety car. Chief Medical Officer for the MotoGP World Championship, Dr. Angel Chartres. You can hear some engines being fired up in pit there. Now actually the MotoGP bikes are getting warmed up. There's no sign of any Moto3 teams and riders readying themselves for any immediate action.
MotoGP race 2.5 hours or so away now. Get underway over 20 laps at 3 p.m. local time. As mentioned, it's half past 12 now, 12:35, so 35 minutes ago we were due to get the Malaysian Grand Prix underway, which we were really looking forward to. Of course, that will have a shortened in distance, and of course, not only do we have any information yet, as soon as we have it, we'll bring it to you over a restart time, but also what knock-on effects that might have for the schedule to come later this afternoon.
The safety car ventures out on circuit with the medical car, of course, that we saw live on the image. So now the safety car does indeed go out of pit lane, led by multiple world champion Loris Capirossi. Jack, back down to you in pit lane.
Yeah, just from speaking to a couple of teams, the understandable process which we're going through here is that of course we can't go racing without the medical helicopter being on site, so I imagine we're waiting for a medical helicopter to return to the circuit before we can then look at getting the restart underway.
Thanks for that, Jack. Thanks for the information down there. So they're just I think clearing away any potential debris that's down. Of course, when the collision occurred, there couldn't be any sort of fluids, whether it be oil or coolant or anything that could be dropped on the racetrack. So that needs to be given a very close and thorough look. Of course, it's the front part of the racetrack there, which is building up speed towards turn 4, turn 3 that precedes that up at the top of the picture is the fastest corner around this Sepang circuit, so you don't want to be running over any kind of oil or coolant that could potentially lead to a crash at that particular point of the racetrack. We already have a delay to proceedings in Moto3 on Friday after some oil was dropped by an Asia Talent Cup bike, which led to a 40-minute delay in the programme.
Yeah, and as you can see now, Loris Capirossi on the scene, checking with circuit staff here in Sepang and with our volunteer marshals who are doing such great work, just making sure that there's no contamination to this part of the circuit. Capirossi on the left hand side there in the white shirt, just making sure that there's sand put down just to soak up whatever fluid, whatever liquid is, drop down on the surface. quite a long way off the racing line now, but of course it's not finished chance. They'll make sure that every millimetre of this 5.54 kilometre Sepang circuit is safe and ready and fully prepped for this 10-lap Moto3 Grand Prix of Malaysia. See there the two James Squadron quarter bikes. Luca Lunetta's number 58, 9th on the grid. He will start this 10-lap race. The ambient temperature now, we said it was going to be creeping up throughout the afternoon. It's now crept up to 34 degrees. That's why we've got a very quiet pit lane. One of 3 riders just seeking shade, trying to keep themselves as cool as possible.
Saw Rishi moving there, just in the gap between a couple of the pit boxes, the corridor that takes us through into the paddock. He was also seeking some shade, moving to start from 17th on the grid this afternoon. He came through qualifying 1 yesterday afternoon. The 18-year-old South African who picked up points already this season. It's been an injury-interrupted season for Moodley. Earlier in the season, of course, he had that big crash at the Italian Grand Prix, which forced him to take a 3-race layoff. Hasn't scored a World Championship point besides the 13th place in Indonesia since that injury. Of course, it has been a tough rookie season for both of the debutants down at Boe.
So Angel Piqueras, second in the World Championship, 231 points. Max Kilo's 3 points behind him, with 3 rounds remaining. Those two are scheduled to start this race alongside each other on the grid. As you can see then, these are live images here in Southeast Asia. The marshals have cleared away from that gap, and that incident took place pretty much halfway between turns 3 and 4, just as you start to climb up towards the right-hander of 4. See Lawrence Capirossi there driving the BMW M3 safety car, accompanied by co-mate Alfonso. Those two targeted, of course, the race direction here in MotoGP. And they will now be reporting via radio, via comms, back to race direction and to race control, and their observations, their thoughts. Now behind the scenes, they're going to be understanding what will be the revised schedule. 10 laps will be the new race distance. Should have been racing, of course, at midday local time here in Sepang. And 50 kilometres away from the spectacular capital city of Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, the temperatures are expected to stay red hot throughout much of the day here, all the way up to sunset, which is just before 7 o'clock later on this evening. We have had a weekend that's been heavily affected by the rain, particularly on Friday, when we had a monsoon-like downpour 2/3 of the way through the MotoGP Practice 1 session. We also then saw a very light shower during MotoGP's afternoon practice session. A little bit of dark cloud overhead when we came on the air yesterday morning for Prix Practice 2 in MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3. Unfortunately, the rain largely did stay away. Certainly the forecast seems to suggest that we should be a-okay for some dry Grand Prix action here in Malaysia here this afternoon. It is generally the way in this part of the world, particularly when we're in the rainy season. Often you set your stopwatch by it around about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The rain does tend to arrive in quite a heavy quantity, but it certainly doesn't appear as if we're going to be subjected to any of that today, we hope.
Clearly it's been the sunniest condition, the sunniest day we've had so far here today on the weekend. We did have temperatures at one point as low as 24 degrees, which was very unlike normal Sepang. There was the safety car then now comes out of turn 14. About an hour towards the final corner. Coming up later on, of course, we were wondering if Pecco Bagnaia could complete a pole position, sprint win and Grand Prix win treble. The Italian was pretty strong in this morning's warm-up as well on the factory Ducati. Alex Marquez it was that led the 10-minute MotoGP warm-up session, having secured second overall in the standings yesterday, completing Momentum 2025 campaign for the Marquez family. Of course, Mark winning the World Championship for the 7th time in MotoGP in Moto3 a few weeks ago. Mark sadly watching this Malaysian Grand Prix from back at home in Madrid. A fracture to his right shoulder blade, which then required subsequent surgery. They left it for about a week, didn't they? Well, they left it exactly a week, 7 days, to decide whether Mark needed a further intervention. He did, and that's what him out for the remainder of 2025. He's running it back for the post-season test in Valencia on Tuesday, November the 18th. So the next time Marc Marquez will be back on top of a factory Ducati, will be right here in Sepang when the 2026 winter testing campaign resumes. February the 3rd, just a note for your diaries.
One very proud older brother though, watching from home back in Barcelona is Marc Marquez, who did immediately post on social media. I'm sure you've all seen it on his Instagram feed, and just how proud he is of little brother Alex Marquez. Of course, it's an unprecedented achievement across Grand Prix motorcycle racing to see brothers taking 1 and 2 in the standings. Let's head down to pit lane then, set to start this Malaysian Grand Prix. From 22nd place is the Rubicon Cycles rider Ricardo Rossi. He's now speaking to Jack.
Yeah, Ricardo was one of the number of riders up at the top end of pit lane, now making their way back down towards their boxes. Ricky, how have you found this weekend so far? These conditions are always a test for everybody.
Yes, Malaysia is always condition tricky. I love this track, honestly. Since the first free practice, we've been fast. Then in the free practice 2, the conditions weren't so stable, and I didn't pass to Q2. And this is what I'm struggling this year. So I'm passing to Q1, to Q2. After the race, I'm fast, but when you start so last, it's difficult for me to come back.
It's obviously been a tricky season. You had a big injury over the Christmas time, having to have surgery on your knee. Are you still struggling with that now, or do you feel you're getting closer to 100%?
The knee now is getting, honestly, 100% full strength. The problem in this moment for me is the head, because I'm in a difficult moment. As I said, for me the moment is the best. The worst thing is qualifying. I know that if I qualify in front, I stay with the front guys. We have the rhythm. But now in this moment, we cannot concentrate in a qualifying. If you see our qualifying, we don't do one lap. We are all the time turning around and not riding. I'm not riding the bike. I'm concentrating more on the other riders and riding a bike, and this is our main problem.
Looks like it's going to be a shortened distance, 10 laps ahead. How does that change the tactics and how you approach it?
For us, I think we are the only team that is advantaged by this, because we are the only team, well, we were the only team riding with a soft front tire. Now for sure many teams are going to go on the front soft tire also, but we were the only ones, so that's a big advantage for us. I hope both riders are staying good. I saw, not the accident, but I saw exiting from pit lane, Noah was having some problems with the bike, and Maximo Killers almost crashed into it, and suddenly on the next lap, Radar crashed into it, so I hope that both riders are okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time, Ricky. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Ricardo Rossi, who of course has an awful lot on his plate in the last stage of the season as he seeks to secure a spot, whether it's on this grid or on another grid over the course of 2026. Of course, the very experienced Italian now. This would have been his 130th Grand Prix start here today. A circuit that he does count as one of his favourites on the calendar. But it has been a tough time for Ricky Rossi, particularly qualifying recently in 2025. Hasn't qualified any higher. 16th on the grid in Qatar when he was up on the second row of the grid, when he qualified in 4th place and finished in 5th. But Rossi looks set to miss the Moto3 action in 2026. These Snipers team look towards the future. 54 mentioned due to start from the 8th row of the grid here. Ricky Rossi, 22nd place he had qualified. Potentially one of the Italians on this grid who potentially may have unfortunately reached the end of his Moto3 career. But he's had his opportunities, podium finishes in Le Mans in 2021, Thailand in 2022, but hasn't really ever kicked on from those particular podium outings. As a result of that, it would appear as if Ricky Rossi's place in Moto3 will not be extended into 2026.
Yeah, it was a tough Australian Grand Prix, wasn't it, as far as the 23-year-old Italian was concerned. It was his worst finish in 115 starts, going all the way back to Aragon back in 2019. So just while we are awaiting the news and a possible start to today's Grand Prix of Malaysia, let's perhaps reflect on yesterday's MotoGP sprint for a little bit, Lewis. Of course, the Gresini Ducati team, despite the post-sprint penalty for a tyre infringement coming away from now to get Rookie of the Year, Alex Marquez securing second place in the standings. Gresini Ducati, well, they've had such a memorable 2025, haven't they? And Almir and Alex first and second in this morning's MotoGP Warm Up, looking pretty strong as possible contenders for the victory this afternoon.
Of course, as an independent team in MotoGP, they have produced plenty of success over the years. Of course, going back all the way to the very early days of the MotoGP era, the likes of Sepang Malaysia and Marco Melandri have taken victories and fought for championship with that Gresini team. But in the time as a Ducati squad, they are very much living in rarefied air. Let's head back down to pit lane then for some more comments and John Jack.
Yeah, I've got Ivan Ortula with me, of course, Moto2 rookie, had a great season in Moto3 last year. The step up, Ivan, from Moto3 to Moto2, always difficult, but seems as though this crop of rookies have got their head around it. Are you enjoying the challenge this year so far?
Yeah, for sure. The change is so difficult, but also I enjoy it a lot. It's not easy, the category, you have to adapt to so kind of different bikes. So yeah, the adaptation is not bad. We are working on it, but I feel that I give in always my 100%. We'll see how we end this season, and let's see next year.
This weekend, how have you enjoyed the Sepang circuit so far?
Well, Sepang is not one of my best tracks, but also I enjoy riding this type of track, this kind of track. It's also, I think, one of the most difficult of the calendar, so yeah, it's not easy to go fast, but anyway, you can make a difference.
We've seen through your season so far, there's been some really good positives and some more challenging weekends. The biggest thing with Moto2, finding that consistency every weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Moto2 is different to the Moto3. You have to be really consistent from the beginning, from FP1. And also, if you're not fast, you're not going to be on the top, because here there's not too much slipstream, and you have to have all the bikes at the point, clear with the settings, and to work a lot from the beginning.
From your experience in Moto3, it looks like we're going to have a 10-lap race, a shortened distance. So how would you like to attack a short Moto3 race on a circuit like this?
Well, the bank 10 laps also is long, so yeah, for sure everybody will give their best. Or everybody wants to win, so less laps, more battle, because everyone wants to win. So let's see. We hope everything is okay. All the two riders, they are okay. We are all the paddock with them, so hope they are okay. And at the end, the race is not important. The important thing is that they two are okay, and let's see, if they are okay, we can finally race.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jack, for speaking to Ivan Ortula down there in pit lane. While we are awaiting any further news on a possible start to this delayed race day here in the Grand Prix of Malaysia, we're going to take a pause in the commentary box. As soon as there is any more information, myself, Lewis and Jack will continue our live broadcast. But for the time being, we're going to just take a pause. In fact, might be just getting a little bit of information, possibly about a revised schedule. We won't discuss that though until it has been officially confirmed. But yes, for the time being, while we are awaiting any official news and official confirmation, on when this shortened 10-lap Grand Prix Malaysia in Moto3 might be underway. Of course, once again, first and foremost, racing is secondary at the moment, isn't it? Our thoughts and our best wishes go to Jose Antonio Rueda and to Noah Deckwheeler. But we are just going to take a break from commentary for the time being here in Malaysia.
Popo is the
then promoted from 4th onto that front row of the grid. And he's there on their own pictures. So but no doubt being his teammate Scott Alton ready himself for this 10-lap battle. Really tough moments, aren't they, for the 22-year-old British rider. Where will be starting from 14th place on the grid now. Of course, Alton's first and foremost thoughts will be with the welfare of his teammate. Over at Carthay also is getting himself ready for this 10-lap Malaysian Grand Prix. Crown World Champion teammate Jose Antonio Rueda doing that treatment after a slightly lap incident.
That scenario where it's difficult to think quite clearly is the riders naturally try and focus their minds on the job at hand, because there are 10 laps of racing coming up. Valentin Peroni will start on the second row. That was the previously now 6th on the grid. David Almanza across from their farm to the P1 and working for Peter O'Toole next season to go from pole position. And of course what we are now faced with is a top 5 on the grid who are all yet to win a Moto3 Grand Prix. Almanza, Lorenzo, Carthay and Roning all still winless in the Moto3. Led and Care and 7th on the grid. The high point on the starting grid that have previously won a Grand Prix.
In that battle for second in the World Championship, 3 points between Keras and Tissot, 3 rounds remaining in 2025. Then the Nagin put on to the back of the second row, 6th place. 6th place last weekend in the finals, 12 top 5 in Grand Prix. That's for the 17-year-old Tissot. What an introduction he had made to Moto3 World Championship 7 days ago. What was very much still the conditions in front of his home crowd in Australia, down under that spectacular Phillip Island circuit. It was John Kelso was closest rival this morning. Jose Antonio Rueda in there, running race long duel in Phillip Island. Kelso on the podium for his 5th time in his Grand Prix career. He has led the last 5 Grand Prix as well, but Phillip Island was his first podium in 12. That's in the French Grand Prix in Le Mans. We are now within 60 seconds. That 1 minute of the pit lane opening underway for our quick start procedure. Pit lane open for 60 seconds. There's one mechanic, one member of the team still out on the grid. Computerisers, make sure everything's full in the working order, no technical issues, contending with. Then we'll be back underway. Getting our race action underway here. Second, he finished last year. From 5 to 50 run out by Tayo Furusato. Can they be the fourth Japanese rider to take a Moto3 World Champion victory? Yuma Sasaki, Tatsuki Suzuki and Kaito Toba have gone before him as winners in the lightweight World Championship.
Here is your grid then. David Almanza starts with Leopards, 5th consecutive Moto3 pole in Japan for Furusato, and now he completes the front row. Carpe, Peroni and Quiles is your second row ahead of Angel Piquera and Luca Linetta. Joel Kelso lines up at the back of row 3 in 9th, Henrik Fernandez, on his debut in Moto3 with row 4. Brian Uriarte has qualified up in 5th place but does take a grid penalty for some slow riding online earlier in the weekend, so he lines up in 13th place now ahead of Ogden and O'Shea, Rudy Fratelli and Carraro next up, Morelli, Esteban and Riccardo Rossi on row 7. Completing your 24 starters are Stefano Neto, Patrick Kumbawazri and Cormac Pican.
Without any question, without any shadow of a doubt, as Almanza picks his way through the shadows cast by one of two massive grandstands here in Sepang. More than 30,000 fans as they flank the two long straights. A thumbs up, all okay, all A-OK for Almanza as the quick start procedure underway. Just a reminder, there is one team personnel allowed on the grid. Once they're happy that their rider and the mission is okay, they will quickly depart the grid, and we're going to be underway in a couple of minutes' time here. Lights out for this 10-lap Grand Prix Malaysia in Moto3. Still plenty to fight for behind our world champion, Jose Antonio Rueda. As mentioned, Piquera and said 3 points between those two in the battle for second in the standings, with David Munoz's season ending. Joel Kelso, Alvaro Carpe in particular will feel like they can jump ahead for the Spaniards in the race for 4th overall in the standings. All that then underway then here in Malaysia in the warmest conditions of the weekend by far, and the temperature, and it's creeping up by the hour, 34 degrees as we get set for this Moto3 battle.
Record of Joel Kelso an hour ago now, and he was racing on 3 by contrast making some runs. Good riding isn't not really high. That's the space has got from Pirelli down in lane 15. Those are the top 10 on the grid, front tyre wide. Almanza, Carpe, Peroni, Quiles and Piquera are the 5 in the top 10 on the medium front. The others are on the soft front. Combination from Jackson in lane. Joel Kelso rides on the top front of the grid.
Still then, this increased ambient temperature. This race is going to get underway an hour and 45 minutes later than what it was scheduled to, and there has been an increase in the temperature here in Malaysia. That's something that's not for Kelso done, but he just thought, you know what, it's worth a punt. Extra ambient temperature, of course, means extra surface temperature as well, around this 5.54 kilometre Sepang International Circuit. There is the super impressive, what a year it has been already, as far as 17-year-old Spaniard Max Quiles is concerned. Already a leader in 11 of his 15 Grand Prix so far in 2025. He's done so much front running, he's not a novice in that aspect at all. If he wants to watch maybe further down the field, Piquera going from 7th and Kelso from 3rd row to finish this. Look at Piquera, Slanetta and Kelso, all 3 of them a podium finisher in 2025. That's looking back at Piquera right now. He comes to the start line. On the front row of the grid, occupied the first 2 places. Worth noting that Angel Piquera is our last Honda winner in the Moto3 World Championship. Well over a year ago now, to take charge of that facing success at this level. 27 Grand Prix to go. Piquera's won in San Marino. Here in Sepang though in 2025. We're about to go racing for the first time. Almanza then, pole position number 2, what is his 43 race Grand Prix career. 4th time we've seen Almanza, the 19-year-old Spaniard, on the front row of the grid. On the 22 Leopard Honda, 7 successive poles here in Sepang for Honda, but winless here since 2019. With Lorenzo Galaporte, we're not winning the World Championship that year. So it's lights out the racing in Moto3 here in Malaysia. It's a real poor start from that pole position by Almanza. He got it all wrong. Going backwards on the 22 lay upon, and that's allowed Purasato to seize the whole shot and get the Almansi on this long run down to the first corner. Quiles immediately on the inside of Almansi up into third place. So Almansi from pole back in fourth place after Phil tweaked through the first corner. Almansi trying to get back to Carpe with an aggressive move on the inside, but it's Purasato that leads from second.
He also had a four star. He got squeezed in the middle of turn one, but two of the three started from the front row and gone backwards. Pete looks like he's in around sixth position as they come to the first sector ahead of Peroni, left and Yamanaka and Rhino Yardley straight to the top step.
Also got through the ground, that means Yamanaka's getting aggressive on the 6.5. Beautiful move that on the inside of the netter. Yamanaka's quickly got himself up inside the top 10 here. Kelso came to the first sector, down in 12th, now down in 13th place. He's not what he wanted on that medium rear tyre.
Purasato got a bit of fast pace to the front of the race, so he's probably a bit of advantage out over Quiles, who has had a tough weekend at times. Almansi gets wide there and losing third place to Alvaro Carpe. The Keras nips along down to 6th place then, and Peroni the rookie.
First lap this one, yeah, I picked up a couple of places, started 7th, already up into the big spot. Yamanaka is now trying to come from a long way behind to make a little Pini. He's not going to be close enough. Pini goes defensive. Pini on the inside there. Peroni on the race into turn 9.
Almansi regains third from Carpe, then puts it to the free side down this first lap. Yamanaka favours that tight inside line. He comes through on balancing Peroni, so Yamanaka already up into 7th place now.
After the speed almost for his first lap in Sepang, I think Yamanaka started to go on Prix in 11. He's been up with him over on this first lap. Further down at Baton Rouge, Prix, but Yamanaka does send it on the inside of Pini going through third 14. Oxford just picked off O'Shea, 14 to 15 Prix further down the field.
Purasato now 4K clear of Max Quiles. Quiles with the pressure now from Almansi, so Tokyo first lap, and he got way off the line. Might back to second place by the time his first lap is completed. First lap of 10, remember, is shortest distance, and Almansi goes wide through the final corner. There are a variety of lights there, but that wasn't the fastest one.
10 laps sprinting towards the front. Right now it's Yamanaka who's pretty superb on that first lap. Up from 11th to 6th place, just now behind his MC helmet MSI teammate, the Keras. Now Banton's about a 4th per second to Purasato. Kelso's making work back through. That Carpe went a little bit offline, goes to the first corner for Keras. Said thank you very much. The 36 now being the P4.
Yamanaka went on to what's just about got his stop, held on to that 7th place. On the first lap, certainly second in the championship, according to the riding very early stage is Almansi Quiles, obviously Keras is now right from the rear tyre.
Fans are on their feet in front of our competition in the main grandstand. A good reason for it as well. Hakim Danish on his Grand Prix debut, fighting for the top 10. He's doing a real good fight with Peroni and Kelford, the rider who's been fighting for wins, haven't they, so far in 2025. He's keeping some illustrious company despite the three back right now. It's Denise, for us as Almansi tries to go for a start. Front wheels they go through 6, 7 and 8.
That's Kelso at the top of the picture as well. Kelso on that medium front, top front line medium rear, not getting much change out of it so far. So Denise is now up into 11th place as the pack now closes right up on the early lead at Purasato.
The problem with Kelso is that it's going to take him 3 or 4 laps to get back that medium rear side. The problems come in. It's late stage when it's got track temperature at 60 degrees. You have to wait until it's that's when it gets up to optimal working temperature. You don't have the grip of this early junction. The riders all the soft rear I have around him. They're all starting to run down here at Purasato on the drop down to 30. Purasato Almansi comes from a long way back on Keras. That is somebody by Quiles. We know how ultra aggressive the 28 is. He's proved it once again here there. Quiles up in 53.
3 points between them at the start of the race. The second in the championship. 3 points between third and fourth. Almansi up ahead, is going to the lead though. He's gone through on Purasato. Purasato was very quickly gobbled up on the second lap, and Almansi back from where he started into the lead.
Sepang Express train is in Moto3. The lead group power down the start straight. With the rider on the 13 the rider actually Danny. The Malaysian fans are going to be loving this, aren't they? Going into 11th place. He's just at the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at 2:11.066. He's only 1.5 seconds behind your race leader, Almansi.
Yeah, he's right at the back of the queue. You can see him on the 36 plus purple might be the back of the train. Number 13, so just behind balancing Peroni on the secondary bike. Here he is, making his Grand Prix debut, and he's going to be on this grid as a regular this season with that MSI team. The crowd warming to the challenge he's putting up here.
The fans are going to believe it. But they're going absolutely potting the main grandstand here. Hakim, the home hero at the moment here in Malaysia. There's our man already trying to stretch his legs out here at the front of this Grand Prix. About half the five lengths. That was the Corsato as they speed through high speed left-hander of 5. Corsato's really good through 5 actually. I'm thinking he's been able to close that gap back to our man back in the lead. What happened to our man there? Our man has to have made a mistake going through because Corsato and Keeler's a pound on the leopard on demand.
And so now back to 13.2 record top 3 now passing from this season, then he's went through. So has Brian Ariarte now making his way back to the other look at leading in his rest on the inside of Angel Fernandez. Both the leopard on in the action, they're both going in different directions right now though.
And medium rear side towards the moment, it's not working out for Kelso out at all. This is first of all, back on the left on 7.7, well that was 7, slower. That's picked off by Brian Uriarte on this current lap of Kelso. Uriarte then, after 9 plays for himself, he's working his way back up into 12.
Well, Vanessa was wide there through 12 and 13, that's what it's on the back course now behind Angel Fernandez. So Vanessa on 58 by dropped to 8th place, lost all his momentum when he went wide through the left of 12.
Corsato being one of them, car taken from a long, long way back. It's multiple lines on an 8-3, 8 lines on, mate. Some of these Moto3 riders taking the middle mate. They're pulling that one corner. Danish now is up into the top 10. And this is going to be unbelievable. The reception he's getting from the main grandstand is incredible here. It's Corsato that leads after 3 laps of 10 here at the back. Keeler's not close up to the second one. There's a bit of a nudge there. A run between Keeler and Cartes. They went through the braking zone to the same one. A man's got back through on Keeler.
3-4 wide, there's no more big on the front end there for Cartes, very near to watch the front away. That forces Fernandez and Figueira to check up behind him. After an early aggressive move from Yamanaka, he reverts back down to the tail of the group again. Yamanaka is back down to 11.
Kelso stuck in the 212s on that medium rear tyre. That decision is backfiring rather spectacularly at the moment on the Darwin ride of Carpe getting burst out. Up and wide at the curve down the 83 right. He's getting really speeding up at the moment on this flat 4 of 10 is Carpe.
Front end moment for Carpe to see his front end cantering away. Then he has to get his left knee down, stop it from tucking altogether. And of course that created a bit of a knock-on effect for Fernandez and Figueira. Right behind him, Coleman Cannon has crashed out off the Grand Prix, running in 22nd place.
There for Carpe, like he's riding over. The man of all there was there goes to the cannon further down. We've seen that unfortunately for the Kiwi on the number 14 bike back at the front, and he's still Corsato that lead. Carpe started this lap in 5th place, he's going to push back down to 8th box, so he's getting a bit of a bloody nose on this lap 4 of 10. That's exactly what's happening right now.
Top 3 in this Grand Prix. Following your picture, into the Grand Prix. Once again, we have a rider wide at top picture. I think that was Carpe once again. Losing ground as he comes through the third, let's say 7th place wide again. Reneto's on the inside of him. Carpe and Peroni were battling him. Reneto looks like he's passed a pair of them.
Moment further down here on Kelso 13, already suffering on that medium running rear tyre. Ogden and Carraro at the back end of the points group places. Here comes Key, there's almost taking the left knee out there of Guido Pini on the 94 bike. Don't think any second invitation. Just once again, our Mansell on that wide line going through the final corner. Hasn't worked out for him after all. As Keelan and Pini power on through.
If you're riding on your own, like our Mansell was in qualifying at some pole position, yeah, that might be the best line. But when you've got about half of them have got a 3 riders right behind you, looking to aim that they can find, that's maybe not the right strategy for them in our Mansell. So he might have to rethink his approach in first 15 in the second half of this race.
An eye down up now on Kelso, and also Fernandez dive bomb on the made Almanza down that hill into turn 2, and then the Carabas have to really pick up, doesn't he, as Almanza sliding offline there. Because Fernandez got on the inside of Almanza going down through 2, Almanza sliding on that wider line, going through 2, and look at as he cuts back on the optimal race line going through 3. The Carabas, they're just really nerved out there through the fast right-hander.
Leopard on Leopard, there's left of the straight spots there into number 2. They now run 4th and 5th. Corsato with relative comfort, and I say that in inverted commas in a Moto3 race, quarter of a second clear at the front of the race. What went on into turn 4 while we were watching that Leopard replay was Pini attacking Keelan as the 2 rookies fight over second.
That medium rear tyre now has come in from Kelso, and which was literally helping him down these 2 long straights here. In fact, maybe he might be able to salvage at a top 6 here with Keelan. Fighting up one way back on the inside of Pink, and he's making work. So good, isn't he? On the front of that CF Moto Asphalt machine. This is brilliant once again, isn't it? By Quiles. He was a little bit wide there going through there and trying to shoot that inside line with the 31 bike of Fernandez. He just about does hold on to that third place.
Like you saw it there into 11-2 with the Leopard Hondas, which we know benefit from corner speed. And you see Fernandez there using it to go inside. One Leopard attacking, one Leopard defending as Almanza loses midway to Angel Figueras. But the variety of ones there almost merged together as Pini and Fernandez were battling.
Yeah, this competition got a bit of daylight now, but themselves in that second group, which is being led by Yamanaka. They're in that second group now, and Carpe, who was right in the heat of this battle, has once again, Almanza surrendered the place in turn 15. He hasn't got 15 nailed at all in this Grand Prix, Almanza. He has been easy in that final corner. So many of his rivals in this Grand Prix. They fan out now forward breast. Almanza, Figueras, and Quiles. It's Almanza who came out of that final corner 6. He's now finishing third place.
Yeah, that wide line of pace in the final corner is giving me the best road down the main straight. Max Quiles, the front has come for an ace. Somehow the 28 stayed on board.
Riding cowboy out, I know. As Quiles stayed on two wheels there. A monumental scare there for the 17-year-old Spaniard. While all this melee is unfolding behind Tyre Fursato, he just has to bring his own race to the front here. Figueras charging on the uphill run to turn 4. That's come Figueras a whole bunch of time as well.
That's easy out of the goal break. Actually, Danny was running just outside the top stage. You can just hear in the background the groans of the Malaysian fans. Sadly, their own hero made quite an impression on his debut this weekend. He's out of the race.
Oh, you can hear those groans in Kuala Lumpur, you can hear those groans in Langkawi. He stopped as well. Heartache for Danny. It's a mechanical was ruled him out of a possible debut top 10 in the World Championship. He's already shown enough, though. Show why. He's coming full time this week next year. Almanza out of shape on the brakes in the third 9. And he's going to make that work on his teammate Fernandez. He certainly is. Good battle between the two Leopards and Moto3. All playing into hands here. Of course, Arthur. Working together, each other up. They're dumping each other up, aren't they? And Almanza's getting a little bit agitated. He's getting a little bit frustrated because he senses that he's got the pace to try and chase down Fursato. But while there's a bit of friendly fire going on here, fine opportunity exists for Fursato.
He's got a 1 second lead now. He's attacking Figueras before the bit there. Just KTM to the run here at the front of the field. KTM unbeaten in 2025. Currently a Honda 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, when was the last time Honda once had a podium? Not won a Grand Prix at all in 2025. But making good race, Daniel Figueras there, lad. Grand Prix winner in San Marino over 12 months ago. Well, that right there, I just wonder how much maybe exit speed sacrificed by careering on the inside of Pini there on the 94 bike. He's stopped that by Figueras and getting himself ahead of the that back to the third place in the champs. That mistake, well, that's brilliant save, we should say, by Quiles and Prix. That got to Prix back down to 7th place. He just got back to the top of the picture on Brian Uriarte. Oh, yeah, Brian Uriarte coming from 13th on the grid.
Almanza getting stuffed on big time into turn 1 by both Figueras and Pini on the same ride. He's now down to 5th place. He's got to give a shout out to what must be difficult circumstances. But Scott Ogden from VIP Green Power, he's up into the top 2 now. 9 from, way back on the 5th road. He's top 14th.
Look at that straight by Quiles. Mark Marquez is your heart now. How the heck has Max Quiles stayed on board that machine? Look at it, because they can't believe it. They can't quite believe it, can they? Inside the Aspar garage. K.A. Val, Max Quiles. That's one of the states of 2025 without any shadow of a doubt. That's first year in Bruce. We saw Carpe going on 10 there. Figueras was the front at the start of this current lap as well as Figueras. He's just plugging in with 3.5 laps remaining. He's off the box.
All over the road, the most Figueras. Those with that moment, he's second through now. With that front end save, could have lost an awful lot more in fairness, as Figueras is now losing way to Almanza, which is good news for Max Quiles. So these two riders battling out for second in the championship are now 5th and 6th, but they're split by a second and a quarter.
Fortunately, Almanza's new favourite for Fursato when he's got nobody disrupting his rhythm. When he's only rider on 30 and 211. Everybody else is doing 212. Then Carpe and Kelso and Co are back in the 230. They really are struggling for pace at the moment with, 3 and a little bit laps to go here in Sepang. Here is Quiles, who I'm sure has just about got his heart back in his chest after that big scare at turn 2. Once he got the slipstream in behind Pini, he just punched a big hole in the here. Pini's north of 6 feet. He's already outgrown the Moto3 by many respects, but he's done an awesome job there. He's obviously getting fantastic exit coming out of 14 there, because not to get swallowed up by the rocket ship laying part onto it. Absolutely brilliant by Pini.
We know the KTM tend to drive in on the go, the Prix 1, but it's where there is an awful lot of acceleration, heavy braking into and out of slow corners. That's when KTM's are benefiting, when the Hondas are benefiting. Their corner speed, some of these longer corners, the faster stuff we have around the Sepang circuit. Of course, the layout can't really put that to good use if they've got a KTM right in front of them.
Let me see. And maybe there might be some attack emerging behind him for a start, so fair play to him. He's just set his personal best back with a Grand Prix at 2:11.599. Was slightly faster though behind him with a 2:11.3. Third back, we've got Fernandez in third place. He's not been able to shake off Almanza and Michela. Gavin of a second back to there. He's also been putting in second back of the Grand Prix. 7.6. Scott Ogden, fair play to Ogden. What is going to be a really mentally taxing Grand Prix this for Ogden and CIT Green past that horrendous 3 races with no attempt. Ogden's going to jump up into 9.
He's closing up on that group up ahead of him, which involves right around P7 and Yamanaka. However, Sato will not need reminding how close he has come on several occasions to winning a Grand Prix, only to fall short 4 second places in Moto3 career, including 1 year when David Alonso's side is actually got beat by half a flight in his car at the start of the season by Anton Liquera. It's finally the day for Tyler Sato, the 77th time of asking, that he finally gets over that hurdle to win a Moto3 race.
4th second place is going to be the 4th Japanese rider to win in Moto3. It has been a long journey, hasn't it, for Sato, but this is in his hands. He's never going to get a better chance of this. Pini somehow is still holding off the layered part onto the Fernandez, Almanza, Michela still with a big interest in this podium battle. But Sato charging down towards the turn of 15 with a commanding advantage. Nearly 1.5 seconds he is clear of Pini, riding out of his skin in second place. This is awesome. Best Grand Prix we've seen by Pini by a long way.
They are all pushing so hard, and Almanza, of course, now loses all of his momentum onto the home straight, and Max Keeler surely supposed to whistle back.
Well, Almanza and Keeler, who are side by side now as they power down towards the third corner. When they get back to you, they need to buy a lot of skins. I'm not quite sure how the pair of them are still upright and it is from Grand Prix. Fernandez took a long way back on Pini. He was briefly ahead of the Italian on the 94 KTM, but running a little bit wide. There was contact on the exit of that first corner. Some back to and Fernandez. The problem is, of course, while they do it, it's just keeps Sato that breather at the front.
Andre Armour and Odyssey Major watching it in the pit lane, saying, you guys just keep going, you guys keep fighting, keep playing into our hands. Beautifully, Keeler just keeps past Almanza down the momentum, but once again, Max Keeler is all over the road coming out of turn 4.
Well, we have got a catalogue of contenders to savour the season in this Moto3 race. Just look at Almanza on the 22 bike. Wow! I mean, he's off. He's crashed. He has crashed. That is about as damaging a bike as you're ever going to see in Moto3. I bet Mark Marquez is watching this race, back on his sofa in Madrid and thinking, fair play Max Keeler, fair play David Almanza, stunning, sensational Sepang saves in this Moto3 battle. Fernandez has finally got through into that second place. On Pini's extremely late. As Sato halfway around this lap 9 of 10, 1.2 seconds clear.
So Pini's time was wide, coming out at 6, which allowed Fernandez to come through into the first of the double right-handers of 7. It was looked like from Care Actors. He was already wide there, went out onto the rumble strip from the outside of the corner and lost that second place. He's in for Sato's hands. He just needs to be error-free now in the final lap and a quarter, and a Grand Prix victory is in.
Sato's not going to let this one slip through his grasp. There have been so many near misses, so many times he's knocked on the door without actually kicking down. He's about to barge all the way through it though right now, isn't he? He's just about to have 5. Oh, Fernandez! Oh, and Pini goes down, and Pini goes down. Fernandez and Pini, well, they've locked on for most of the second half in Grand Prix. It's Pini that comes up the word here. That's his podium has gone. Higher for Sato then. Starts the final lap here in time. 1.7 seconds clear.
Eric now takes the second with that, so he's on course to lose the 20 very useful points. Fernandez turns to 2 horse race in second place now. He is at the front of that next group. rookie Gasly's up into 4th place now.
Some recovery by Iriarte, but a 9-place grid penalty for slow riding in Q2 yesterday. There you can see the incident with Pini and Fernandez. It's been drama, hasn't it, throughout this 10-lap battle here in Malaysia. It looks like Tyre Fursato is fighting his way to his first victory. Piqueras has a good long look over his left shoulder just to check and see how many riders are still in this podium battle. He's got a face full of 31, but these two are a long, long way clear of Iriarte.
Yeah, Iriarte is catching good, but he's going to struggle to get there in time on the final lap with this shorter distance. He's got Keyless to worry about, and Iriarte are right behind him. They were side by side in the back of the picture, and Keyless needs to salvage whatever points he can. Piqueras at the moment on course for 20 of them.
Keyless wins the game on the 28 by crosses out the thing almost coming to the third. Fernandez strikes. Whoa! Fernandez tries to crash again. How many times has he tried to dump the layer pile on him? It just shows how slippery and greasy the Sepang surface is in the hottest conditions of the weekend. So many riders have had the mother of all scares on the front end. Carpe, Keyless, Piqueras, Almanza, we saw Pini go down the road.
Something happened in the first level between Keyless and Iriarte, so they now drop back to 8 and 9. It's now Almanza leading this second group. They're all battling for 4th. Yamanaka now coming back into it as he's 6th.
There has not been a Japanese winner in the Moto3 World Championship. Iwasaki 2 years ago, the Valencia Grand Prix back in 2023. Tyre Fursato though has just one corner remaining to become the 16th rider from Japan to win a lightweight World Championship race. He is going to be followed in the side track of Iwasaki, Tatsuki Suzuki and Kaishisoba as the 4th Moto3 winner from Japan. It is Tyre Fursato who fights his way to a maiden victory here in Japan. Over the line he goes, 2.2 seconds clear of Angel Piqueras in second. That's a big day as far as Piqueras is concerned. He wraps up second in the World Championship. Andy Fernandez does and takes 3rd place. David Almanza, a 10-lap race that was full of drama for the Spanish rider from pole. He's 4th with checker flag, head over inside Yamanaka comes through with 11th on the grid to a top 5. Carpe rounds out to top 6. He then Ogden, what a ride by Scott Ogden, Chapeau, British rider, a 8th place on what's been a real difficult day for the CIT Green Power team. Ryan Iriarte, 9, he was as high as 4th at one stage later on, wasn't he? Iriarte, Perone completed top 10 points for Vanessa, Kelso, Morelli, Carraro and O'Shea. Second World Championship point for Morelli, O'Shea. Nice way to celebrate his 2021 contract with M-Lab Racing. But finally, Fursato is a Moto3 winner.
A winner that no one in this Moto3 has had so many close calls, so many moments where the dice haven't fallen in his favour. Today though, maybe he made the early escape when the battles were raging behind with the likes of the Leopard Hondas, with Pini, with Piqueras. Fursato made his escape and takes his first Grand Prix win. Of course, a difficult day for everybody in Moto3, but a feel-good story for Fursato. Finally, a Grand Prix win.
The big battle, the little raging behind him to open a gap that he never really looked like a really much did he? Yeah. Grand Prix start for Tyre Fursato. He's then one lap in Zermatt to start the year, he's then one lap in Qatar this time around. He led the lot here in Sepang, and that was a brilliant victory. Japanese rise to the top 5 new products, of course, of the very successful run management program, the 80 Challenge Cup, and that was a big bet for the second example was as far as Piqueras is concerned. He's now got a 4-point buffer over Max. Left to fight for, of course, in 2025. We finished the season on the Iberian Peninsula in Portimao and in Valencia, but it's very much a man to Piqueras in the race of these two overall.
For Max, although he certainly entertained us with his save through turn 2, but ultimately that cost him too much time that he didn't win back again. This was the final lap then in the back of the picture. There'd already been something happening in the back of the picture between Iriarte and Keyless. This was Fernandez attacking Piqueras, momentarily taking second place for his process, momentarily climbing up into turn 9. Watch here as the process, the rear is shattering and the left gear goes down to spare Fernandez potentially a crash and at least salvage the podium for him.
I'm sure now he's thrilled to finally see Tayo Furusato, the young gunner from Japan, take his third Moto3 victory. Is the boss on the train to what's going on the weekend?
Yes, exactly. Tayo so close, so many times, but Iraqi finally a Grand Prix winner. How did that feel?
Well, he did it very, very well. He continued to concentrate during the 20 laps, so we were talking to him before the race, think about, like third one. So he was pushing every single lap, and finally he made it. So I know it was not easy, but finally he arrived, so we are very happy about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, great job. Brilliant job on what has been a very, very difficult day for the Moto3 field. A long delay to the start of that race, an hour and 45 minute delay after reasons involving Antonio Raider and Malaysian. Japanese fans with big smiles on their faces, so amazing that he has to follow them up. Furusato takes the lead by just 100.3 seconds. Doesn't he, so far this year, the 21-year-old Spain. That's now podiums in Indonesia, Japan, Australia, Thailand. So many positives from the weekend for him to take. Watch out for him. Qualified 5th on the grid, got busted with the 9th place grid penalty. Started in 13th in a slight grid shuffle, and then fought his way through. He was high as 4th at one stage in that Grand Prix. Saw Happy standing yesterday after qualifying, conducting some in the press room here in Japan. And he was banging on the MotoGP heroes. They are so desperate for a new Malaysian motorsport hero. Well, they might have already found one. They might have unearthed another one. Attacking that proudly holds aloft the Malaysian flag in front of the main grandstand. No question. The best is to come. What a future lies ahead for Hakim Danish.
Today. Andrew Fernandez back on the podium. The first time since Lugano, walking very closely to the year before that crash with Danny having the office was out the red flag. A seventh career podium for him. Second place then for Angel Teixeira. 14 points in his advantage over Max Quiles. So if Teixeira squeezes in fourth round next time out, Quiles will not finish with him on the podium. Then Teixeira will clinch second place in the championship. And on a difficult day for all connected with Moto3. A first time winners of at least three. Thirdly, work for Honda in Asia. They of course have part of this featuring so many close calls. Driver Ricardo went forward to short, but today Mayo stands tall as a Moto3 winner.
drama. It was very emotional as the podium celebrations are completed here. Somewhat subdued celebrations, understandably so as well. After the events that caused the delay to our race day here in Malaysia. And the entire Moto3 then takes spoils ahead of Angel Becerra and Adrian Fernandez. It's been a pretty good weekend as far as the Fernandez family are concerned, with Mother Raul victorious for the first time managing to see last time out at the Australian Grand Prix in Phillip Island. Still making a big play, protecting the fifth overall in the championship. Your first time winner here in Sepang.
Time for Sato takes victory from Angel Becerra and Adrian Fernandez. A 3-4 for Leopard Honda. David Almanza, 4th, 5 for finish 4th. Bruce Yamanaka 6th. 2 Japanese in the top 5. Carpe and Kiles 6th and 7th. Kiles puts in the Rookie of the Year prize. Stella got on to the final eliminate ahead of Ryan Oriarte 5-4 for 49. Barone 10th ahead of Vanessa Castro. Marco Morelli to the Carraro and Eddie O'Shea takes the final point. Sato is your winner in Moto3. A short of 10-lap battle, which was won by the Japanese. In our countdown to the 20th MotoGP Grand Prix of Malaysia in around about 50 seconds.
Prix Malaysia is MotoGP's final flyaway race in 2025, and it comes from the spectacular Sepang International Circuit. Close to the cultural and tourism hub of Kuala Lumpur that hosts the world-famous Petronas Towers, it was Pecco Bagnaia who struck gold in the sprint, but it's Grand Prix glory on the line as we find out who will end the Asia Oceania Tour on top. It's time to race in MotoGP. First on the calendar back in 1999, this the 25th Grand Prix to take place at the spectacular Sepang International Circuit, around 50 kilometres south of Kuala Lumpur, 5.54 kilometres in length, with the multiple lines available as you attack hard on the brakes into turn 15. The most demanding braking points, well, that are 1, 4 and 15, and around ambient temperatures and surface temperatures of 60 degrees, it's